Hi guys, welcome back to another colorful keto with Dory. So this afternoon we're doing something kind of different. We are getting together with the Mindset King and we're going to talk about why mindset is important and how we change ours. I'm so excited. We get to meet him for the first time together. Brian, I'm so excited to meet you. We're connecting. This is my favorite part. The moment right before you meet somebody new. Anticipation. I'm so excited to hang out. Hello. Oh no, we have no sound. Okay. I'm going to take you out. Send me a request, and I think it works better that way. So I'm going to pop you back out. We'll try it again. We're going to figure it out. We so smooth. So I think it works better if he sends me a request. It seems to work better that way. I don't know why, but for some reason Instagram likes that better. Maybe it thinks I'm pushing myself on people. How do we do now? Any sound? Oh no! Okay, let's try it one more time. Third time's the charm. We're going to do it. We're doing this. We're totally doing this. Oh, goodness. Because we so smooth around here, baby. Okay. I think I hear you.
Yes, we have sound.
Yes!
The secret is to allow you to invite me.
Okay. Well, the first time I invited you and it didn't work, so I don't know what Instagram likes. I just don't know. I think you have to hold your mouth in a certain position or tweak one eye.
Put my ankle behind my head, which I haven't been able to do since my teens, so that's out of the question.
I'll tell you what, right? So let's start with introductions. And I would love for you to introduce yourself to my people and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, what I do primarily is I work with professionals that have mental health or chronic health issues to feel comfortable within their own skin, to develop the mindset that allows them to succeed at whatever level they want, regardless of their challenges.
Excellent. I love it. I think those are my favorite words. I think you just said my favorite words because we all struggle with mindset, no matter where we are in our life, no matter what goal we're looking at. If it's a business goal, if it's a relationship goal, if it is a dietary goal, I think mindset is number one. So let's start there and say, how does a negative mindset affect you? If you are living in a world of negative, what does your world look like, Brian?
It's fear-based. It has a lot of anxiety. It's all about what can't happen. You hesitate, you make excuses, you procrastinate, anything you can do to avoid taking action, especially if it's toward making progress. You want to be comfortable, you want to be stuck, you just kind of want to opt out of risk entirely.
I think I could hold up my hand and say, I think you just synopsized the last 30 years of my life. Because I don't think I ever made one solid decision. If I didn't make a decision, then it wasn't my fault if it didn't go right? The jobs that I took, I wasn't really proactive in deciding what I wanted. I'd take whatever job somebody offered me. And that spilled into my relationships too. I didn't seek out relationships that were positive for me. I kind of took what fell into my lap. So I think you hit it on the head with paralyzing fear to act. I never wanted to make any decision of any kind whatsoever. And I think I started that from childhood. My parents made my decisions. And then my first boyfriend made my decisions. And then my next boyfriend and my next boyfriend and my next boyfriend. And I never made my own decisions until I decided that it was about me and what I wanted instead of what everybody else wanted. So what's step one? If you're living in that negative hole, we've all been there. It's a bottomless pit. It's like a well, you can barely see the top. Where do we start? What's step one? How do we reach out and get the help we need?
Well, step one is you need to let go of that negative story. The one one that's all blaming and finger pointing and making excuses. And one thing that I want to really point out about what you said, about basically being a recipient of life, whatever happens, there are some people that mistakenly think that being passive is synonymous with being spontaneous.
Oh,
they
yes.
say, let's just see what's going to happen, let's just see how it all unfolds. When the reality is, I'm afraid of making a decision because I don't trust my ability to do so. So I will wait until there's something for me to react to.
Yes. And you never get ahead of the game that way, do you? Like if you're merely reacting to life rather than creating life, do you ever get to the point where you feel like you're winning?
Well, you might even not think winning is an option for you.
Yes.
You resign yourself to things. Well, it's just life. It's reality. It's the way things are. And you don't think about creating circumstances, looking for opportunities, surrounding yourself with the people who have the connections you need, because you're too busy, like you said, waiting for it to fall into your lap. And it doesn't happen like that.
It is what it is. That was my old mantra. It is what it is. I can't do anything about that. You know what? My life is miserable. I'm unhappy. I'm unhealthy. I'm sick. It is what it is. It just is. And I think that for me, it changed when I decided to no longer be passive in my own life, to realize that I can actually manifest things. And I don't know what everybody knows about manifesting. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about the power of positive thoughts and how we manifest positivity in our lives.
You want me to start?
Yes. I know, I'm like, hot seat, go.
I don't pretend to understand it one day. But one thing I see consistently is when I put a strong, emotionally charged intention out there, something I want to have happen, and something that I believe can happen, something I want to happen, all of a sudden, I start seeing people that can help me do that very thing. Like just this morning, I started my own podcast. It's going really strong. And I was thinking, man, this is so fun. I wish I could make money at this. And I've got almost 5,000 Facebook friends. And you know that finicky algorithm. You don't see all of them in your newsfeed. Well, all of a sudden, I'm scrolling through this morning, and this name I'm unfamiliar with shows up in my newsfeed. It's a Facebook friend I connected with at some point. I look at her bio, and it says she helps people monetize podcasts.
See?
So I immediately reached out to her, still waiting to hear back, because she doesn't realize I'm the center of the universe.
Well, duh.
An immediate response.
Like,
it's only a matter of time, right?
Right. I love that in our new electronic society that non-response is an issue. Because I remember back in the day when if somebody wasn't home, you would leave a message and they would get back to you.
Yeah, or even before that, they weren't home. I'll try back in a couple hours. Maybe I'll even walk over there.
Right? Go say hi.
That happens now.
So I'll share my manifesting story because I won't lie, I didn't realize until quite recently that it was something that I could do. A lot of times in my life, if I had a goal or something that I wanted to do, my first thought would be, well, it's never going to happen. There isn't any way. That's too hard. It's too expensive. It's going to take too much time. I don't know how I'm going to make that work. And I would say things like, I want to do that if I can. I'd like to, or I want to. Then I came across something. It was really weird. Six weeks before an event, I heard about an event. And I don't know, for some reason, it clicked with me, and I thought, I need to be there. I don't know how I'm going to be there, but I need to do it. And this is what I did that was different. Instead of saying, I want to go there, and I want to figure it out, I already decided in my head, I'm doing it. I'm going to be there. I don't know how I'm going to make it work, but I'm going to make it. It's going to happen. And I already started thinking of it in my head as it's going to happen. I'm going to make it there. I'm going to figure out a way to pull it together. It was $1,500 that I don't have. I don't know where I'm getting that money, but I'm going. I am going. And in 6 weeks, I managed to figure it out and I made it. I flew to Austin, Texas, and I went there and I made it. And never in my life before would I have thought, you know what, that is out of my reach. It's out of my pocket. It's out of expense. It's only 6 weeks away. I could have sat down with all of the excuses why I couldn't go. But you know what? I decided I was going and I made it happen. It happened.
The power of decisions.
Yes, because I think that that's the key. I think when we decide we're going to do something, I think the deciding is the hard part. The getting to the point where you jump off that fence, you know, and I've heard that a million times. The deciding is the hard part. The doing comes natural. I love your dogs.
I'm going to close the door. I have no idea what they're seeing.
Well, someone's probably trying to look at their house, you know, or walk by it. The nerve.
Yeah, they're little ankle biters. I'm going to put a sign on the front door that says, if you try and break in this house, you won't leave with your ankles.
Oh, goodness. When I had a little dog, I had a little sign that said, I'm a tiny dog, but I know ninja.
Yeah, I'll cut you off below the knees.
I'll cut you. I know ninja and other really cool words. You don't know. And I love how they think that they can protect the universe, like just by barking at it. Bark at it, it will run away.
They want to protect their universe.
Right. Everything I see is mine. My dog doesn't even let people walk by our street because the nerve of them to walk down the street, like, hello.
If I can see it, it's mine.
Well, and she loves to watch the kids play, so she'll sit in the window and just whine at the kids playing hockey in the street. Thanks.
It's a disgusting emotional state.
Yes. So let's get back to it and let's talk a little bit about the first steps of forming a positive mindset. Because I firmly believe the beauty of mindset is it's your mind and you can change it at any moment. So this moment, this very moment, can be the moment you decide to be positive instead of negative. So I want to talk about that and say, if you're at the point, you're ready to jump off that fence and you say, you know what, I'm done being negative Nelly. I am done not having the things I want in my life. I'm done being unhappy. I'm done being miserable. What would you recommend for step one? I really like to start with positive thoughts, but what would you say if somebody says, you know what, I'm done being miserable. How do I start being happy?
Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to realize that happiness is totally within you. It's something that you manifest, you create it. It's not something that's caused externally, like, well, so-and-so really makes me happy, or I'm really happy when I do this. I mean, it's not to say that you don't have your energy or your vibration raised when you're in certain settings, but the reality is you choose whether to be grateful or not.
Yes.
And gratitude is what fuels happiness. And you can be grateful about anything. Be grateful about this moment, about this weather, about the funky disco light behind you, you know, about the relationships in my life, the fact that I woke up this morning. The list is endless. You just need to start with one thing and be able to say thank you, and then go from there. And when you are thinking in terms of gratitude, you're thinking in terms of abundance.
Yes.
There are things out there that are coming to you, that are brought to you, and if there's that stuff, well, there must be more. I just need to figure out how to create a path to it.
Yes.
And abundance is about, some of it's about attraction. Some of it is about building a bridge. You have to work towards it. It's not always just going to come to you. And thinking in terms of progress, possibility, valuing the idea of movement, of getting somewhere in life.
Yes,
that's how you start.
I love it. An attitude of gratitude. I think that's the best place ever that you could start. Because as soon as you're grateful, you're all of a sudden looking at positive things. Because you can look at the exact same day in a positive way and in a negative way. You can say, you know what, I woke up in the morning, I overslept, my car had issues, this happened, that happened, it was a really horrible day. Or you could say, you know what, I got 10 minutes extra sleep today, and I got a little fresh air. while I was getting my car started. And you know what? I made it to work and they still loved me even though I was late. It was a good day. So it's really the same day. It's just a matter of how you feel about how your day went.
And you can also see it as an opportunity to be resourceful.
Yes.
Because you had to solve problems that typically don't exist. So you had your monotony kind of upset a little bit, which is a good thing. Is one thing that I really am irked by is when I meet somebody on Instagram or someplace else, I say, "Oh, what's happening in your world?" "Nothing much. Nothing's going on."
Nothing.
And I want to respond, I feel so sad for you because you're taking everything for granted.
Well, you're getting up every day and you're wasting it. If nothing is going on in your life, if nothing really is going on, I just get up, I go to work, I come home, I eat my dinner, I watch my TV, and I go to bed, then, is that the life we're striving to live? Is this our purpose, to just get up every day, go to work, come home, eat our dinner, and go to bed?
If that's your life, you're not a human, you're a hamster.
Get you a wheel.
Exactly. You're just going around and around. You're not making any progress. It's the same old nonsense. You're not thinking a lot. You're being driven by habit. You're not setting any goals for yourself. You're just going through the routine. And that's a very sad way to live. What kind of legacy is in that?
Well, and I think that a lot of us spend a lot of years living that way. I know I personally did, because I will say that I gave up. I gave up on all of it. I gave up on happiness. I gave up on loving myself. I gave up on losing weight. I gave up on developing good, strong friendships and relationships. And all in all, I just was like, you know what? Those things aren't for me. It is what it is. It is what it is. And guess what? I'm not meant to be happy like other people are meant to be happy. Some people get to be happy and they get to be wealthy and they get to be thin and they get to love themselves. Those people aren't me. They're not me.
It is what it is not acceptance. It is what it is claiming that there is nothing about the situation that you can change.
Yes. And I think we need to take a little responsibility in those things too, because I think the reason why it was okay for me to say, it is what it is, it's not going to change, is because I wasn't willing to do the work to make it change. So it was easier just to say, well, you know what, it's not going to anyways. I've failed at everything I've ever done before anyways, so really, there's no point in, trying to have a better life. It's not going to happen anyways.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. There's this old story, I don't know if it's true, but it's very good, where there's this dog that's sitting on a porch whimpering.
Okay.
And it's just whimpering, and the owner's just sitting there, whittling away. The stranger comes up and says, "Man, there's something wrong with your dog. Is he hurt? Shouldn't you take him to the vet?" And he says, "Oh, he's fine. He's just sitting on a nail." And the stranger says, "Well, why the heck doesn't he move?" And the guy says, "Well, I guess it doesn't hurt bad enough."
Yes. Exactly. Because you know what? We'll live our life laying on a nail if it doesn't hurt that bad. Well, it's not that bad. I mean, my job isn't that bad. My relationship isn't that bad. My friends don't treat me that shitty. It's okay.
I'll complain about it all day long. I'll whimper and whine and moan, but I won't change it.
Well, all you gotta do is get up off the nail, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk.
That sounds like words. And here's another lie. "Oh, I don't do well with change."
Oh, that one's my favorite. Nobody does well with change. That's why it's change. Otherwise, they would call it same old, same old.
Actually, we change constantly. What we want is we want change that is only pleasant.
Yes.
And is within our complete control.
Well, duh, because, hello, center of the universe, everything spins around me. Clearly you're not aware.
The problem isn't that you don't like change. The problem is that you don't like things that are out of your control.
Yes. So how do we kind of set that line? And how do we say, you know what, this is within my control, and you know what, that's not, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to waste my mind space on things that I can't control. Because I think for me, that held me back a lot too. I spent a lot of time focused on the things I really honestly had no control over. Other people's reactions, how other people looked at me, other things that people said about me behind my back. these are things I cannot control. So don't waste your mind space. So how do we decide? This is mine to deal with, and this is somebody else's issue. I'm just going to ignore it.
Well, the stuff that is your business is the stuff that's in service of your goals. Everything else is noise. Now, the way I reconcile there's a saying that other people's opinion of you is none of your business.
Yes.
And what that, in my interpretation of it, is what it essentially means is that you're not put on this earth to be a people pleaser.
No.
So you don't have to constantly keep tabs on what somebody else thinks so that you can step up your game and make them happy.
What? So it's not my job, like every relationship I'm in, it's not my job to fix his problems, heal his childhood wounds, pat him on the head when he's sad and make sure that he's happy every day. That's not my job? What?
Only if you're codependent.
That's not my job. So that means it's not his job to make me happy all the time either then.
It's not his job to make me happy any of the time, really.
What? That sounds like a bad boyfriend to me.
Well, unless you decide that by being yourselves and helping each other grow in a mutually nurturing relationship, that, you're companions in this life and you're sharing this journey, and by virtue of living your dreams, which happen to overlap and coincide, you help each other grow. But if who you are is determined entirely by whether somebody else is happy with it or not, then you're living someone else's life.
And you know what? I get messages about this quite a lot. A lot. People who are like, oh, well, I would love to do that, but my husband wouldn't like that, or my husband wouldn't approve. That would make my husband really angry. And I'm like, okay, then, are you focusing on your happiness, or is he just happier when you're not? Because I've been in that relationship before too. Like, I dated that guy who was never happy unless I was miserable. So the more unhappy I was, the more fulfilled he was in our relationship, because then he had more and more and more control over me. And I feel like when we decide to focus on our own happiness, that the people around us have slightly less control over our emotions because they're ours, not somebody else's.
Yeah, in my wife and my relationship, she has her life, I have my life, and we have our life. She goes out with her friends without me, I go out with my friends without her, and then there's the stuff we do together. And there are some couples that are so insecure they can't tolerate that.
Oh, I've seen it.
So one is always trying to control the other. What, you're going without me? Are your friends more important than me? Don't you care about me anymore?
I thought it was supposed to be our night.
So this is our date night, and didn't you think about how I was you? Maybe I had plans. Maybe I wanted to spend time with you.
And how do we unlock ourselves from there? Because I think at least all of us have been there at least one time in our lives, either in a relationship with our parents, with our friends. We have all been in that situation where we're like, oh, well, that's very nice. I'm glad that you were thinking about me. I'm glad you considered me and my feelings.
Well, the first thing you need to let go of, again, is the idea that anybody can make you feel anything. Secondly, you've got to learn how to be a happy single. Can you have all of your needs met without being in a romantic relationship? Can you, and this is a biggie, can you realize that life is not personal?
That's a big question. Because you know what? If somebody doesn't like me, that means something about me, right? Like, because everyone has to like me. I'm perfect and I'm awesome. And when I go out there, I'm never, ever, ever supposed to encounter anyone who doesn't love everything about me. Just saying. Oh, hello, millennial.
And if they do, all it really means is that they've inflicted some kind of value judgment upon you based on their own life experience and their own biases. And there may actually be something in there useful for you to reflect upon, but it's by no means something that has to shift your entire paradigm or your sense of your own value just because somebody else has an opinion that happened to be pointed towards you.
You know what? That's my favorite point to bring up because I've talked about that before. Now, anybody can say any shitty thing to you. Whether it's nice or not, people may or may not do it. But it's not the one time, say for example, you're walking by some guy and he goes, wow, you look fat in those pants. It's not the one time one person has an opinion about how you look in those pants. It's every single time you go to put those pants on and you think in the back of your head, God, I look fat in these pants. Maybe I better not wear these pants. You know what, the last time I wore these pants out, someone said I looked fat in these pants. And we repeat those things over and over. And guess what? It's like playing telephone, and it gets worse in your head. So it was nastier the next time they said it. You know, they kind of gave you a look with it too. And in your mind, it builds and builds and replays and replays. So I love to think about, is this information for me or is it not? So when somebody comes and gives me their opinion, I can look at it and I can say, okay, maybe there's some good in there for me. Maybe you're projecting, and maybe it has nothing to do with me at all. But if it has nothing to do with me, guess what? I don't repeat it in my head anymore. Because you know what? That dude's opinion of my butt in those pants matters to me this much.
When somebody validates one of your insecurities, we tend to call that an insult.
Yes.
How dare you talk to me that way?
How dare you?
I'm so offended because I can't possibly be wrong. My self-righteousness does not allow for room for that.
No. I'll only ever admit to being wrong one time, so you better save that up. I used to tell my ex that. I'll admit to being wrong once, so you better save that for when you really want to use it. When you won argument one time.
Not even going to go there. How did you even have conversations with each other?
It was, I think, probably the least healthy relationship I was ever in. It was bad. It was bad.
Not to mention it, those conversations were incredibly one-sided.
Well, you know what? Mostly, I won't lie, it was a lot of me giving him trouble and him rolling his eyes at me. Because he really didn't care. Like, the bottom line was, I was insisting on being treated like a human being, and he just didn't really want to. That was too much work. Like, that's too much work.
Things were really incompatible.
Oh, and you know what? I think maybe let's talk about that a little bit, because I knew for years that wasn't a good relationship for me, but we hang on to connection sometimes. I've invested time in this person. We've already been together, you know, I'm not gonna lie, at the 5-year mark, I was like, well, we've been together for 5 years. Do you really want to throw away 5 years? Yeah, it's a crummy relationship, but we've been together for 5 years. And then it was 7, and then it was 10, and we broke up just shy of 11 years. Because at that point, I was like, okay, enough.
One of the best phrases I've heard that explains that situation is, don't hang on to a mistake simply because you spent so much time making it.
Yes, and I've heard that before. I think in all honesty, that relationship was one of those empath narcissist relationships, and those seem to go on forever and ever and ever. Like, I can't cut people out. I can't. Like, that was an issue from my past.
The overgiver and the overtaker.
Yes, and that was honestly, I think that was what wrapped our relationship, is I was always overgiving and he was always overtaking, and the more I gave to the relationship, the less he contributed. So in the beginning it was kind of 50-50, and then it started to slide and slide and slide and slide, and I could never get a hold of that, because I always felt like the answer to the relationship was for me to just give a little bit more. Be a little bit more supportive. Understand his feelings a little bit better. Be there for him, Dory. Be a good woman.
Yeah, keep giving to somebody who's endlessly entitled.
Well, and those...
One of these days they'll be grateful.
Right? One day. And the irony is, those people are usually ungrateful to everyone in their lives. Like, I don't think that there was a person in his life that he would say, oh, I'm so grateful, I'm so glad to have that person in my life, I feel so blessed to have what you share. I don't think anybody ever pleased him. Like, it was never enough. You could never feed that enough attention. It was a bottomless pit of wanting more attention.
This narcissists underneath don't feel like they're good enough. So you can never fill that cup.
So how do we separate from those people in our lives? Because I find that a lot of the people who come to me and say, Dory, I'm dealing with a lot of negativity, and we talk about the people around them and the personalities around them, and I'm like, oh, narcissist, selfish, narcissist, and they tend to be surrounded by these people because they can sense our energy and that we're willing to share. So how do we start to separate from people who are drawing from our energy in a negative way?
Well, as far as they're concerned, you really don't owe them an answer. You can just walk away.
Excellent.
But when it comes to your own mindset, it's important that you first declare, my needs matter.
Yes.
I deserve to get what I need also.
Yes.
And then start thinking about, well, if I was getting my needs met, what would that look like? What would be different? And do I happen to know people right now in my life that are willing and able to give me those things, but I've been dismissing them because they aren't the ones I've been trying to convince to love me?
Oh, I'm not the only one who played that game. I can make you love me.
I was raised Catholic. So you're among friends.
Well, because we were all raised that way, right? Like, you can make any relationship work if you want it badly enough, if you work hard enough. But what I learned after almost 11 years of beating my head against the wall is you can only do that if both people are equally invested in making that life work. You can't do it by yourself. You're never going to make somebody love you. You're never going to make somebody treat you better. You're never going to make somebody value you in time. Oh, and we got a comment. Jessica says, oh yes. Jessica and I have talked about this in her personal life, and I've called these people emotional vampires. And we've talked about letting go of emotional vampires because we all have those people in our lives who draw from us energy and turn it negative. I used to have a really close friend, and it didn't matter how positive I was, and I would say, oh honey, but you've got this on the go. It would always come around back negative. Well, you know, I hate my job, I hate my boyfriend, my kids don't listen, you know, my car is garbage, I've got this, I've got that. If you think that is bad, this is worse. And it didn't matter how positive I tried to be around her. It was like she was soaking in my positive energy and turning it negative. And the only thing I could do was separate from her and just say, you know what? I can't continue to feed your negative energy. And I knew she was drawing it from me. I could feel it.
So I like to operate in the reverse. Like, if somebody gives me crap, I like to turn it into fertilizer. But if you try and give them fertilizer, they'll turn it into crap.
Yes. And we can't help everyone, right? Like, not everyone is our pet project. Not every lost puppy is meant to be found. Not every broken heart is yours to mend. And that was a hard thing for me to understand because my personality is that. Oh, no one ever, that's how I picked my ex. No one ever really loved him. You know, if anyone ever truly loved him unconditionally, like I can, then he would understand all of the value and the love. I can't even finish it without laughing. Like, I don't know why I thought it.
Rescuer. You were a hero.
Where's my cape?
It's really important in life to find your lane and stay in it.
Yes.
You know, when you know what your purpose is, what you're good at. I can't tell you how many times, and social media has made this even more epidemic, everybody and their brother wanting you to buy their product or donate to their cause, and I have to say, that's not what I'm here for.
I love it.
People, can you help me by donating this? I can help you, but not that way.
Yeah.
That's not how I provide help. If it's in alignment with my purpose, I will share it with my people if I believe in it and believe in you. But I'm not your marketing agency.
Yes.
And my timeline is not your spam folder. So just because we're friends and you ask me to share doesn't mean I'm gonna. Because I have a purpose.
Yes.
I have my tribe to take care of. And I've got to think of the overall theme and their overall needs. If I just start throwing noise at them because you think I owe you a favor, I'm going to lose my tribe.
Well, and that's it, right? Our people find us because they're looking for something inside of us. And everybody finds their own tribe based on what resonates with them. I mean, in every community, there's 50,000 million tribes that you can join. We're all looking to belong to something that makes us feel included and valued. You know, we're all looking for that group of really awesome friends who gets us. Because let's be honest, most of us were weird or awkward or geeky or a combination of...
What is this past tense?
Yeah, right. Weird, awkward, geeky, not me.
You kidding me? This is an ongoing effort. I'm a weirdo in progress.
You know what? I'm actually kind of proud of my weirdness. I think normal is overrated, but I giggle because it's me, right? Like, I just take who I am and I put it out there on the internet. And my son, who's 20, said to me the other day, you know, none of my other friends' moms are out on the internet wearing unicorn hats and dancing around and embarrassing their kids, just saying.
No, it's because they're too insecure to do it in public. They do it in private.
But
because they lack my confidence, son.
That's right. They're just not awesome. Like, and I responded with this. That's because they're not hip like me.
For starters.
Oh my God. To start with. Right. So let's talk a little bit about that to finish up, because we've run a little over on time. I'm sorry to take all your time. But let's talk a little bit about being authentic, being you, letting your weirdness shine out. Because all the things we spent our lifetime in childhood trying to hide, guess what? Those are our best sparkling qualities now. So let's talk about that. How do we just say, hey world, this is me. I ain't changing for you. I'm awesome.
Being authentic begins with being human. Is not being afraid to show your welts and warts and wrinkles and anything else, and realizing that imperfection is who we are by default. Because so much, when we show up, it's to impress. I want to show my best light. I want to show only my highlight reel so people think I have all my act together. And guess what? They're playing the same game you are, and neither one of you is fooled.
What?
Okay? You're human. Show up and be who you are, and if somebody else pretends to have it all together, you know they're lying.
All right. If their life looks perfect.
Yeah, in the midst of being human and showing your strengths and challenges, the strengths are going to be your unique contribution.
Yes.
It's going to be how you were created to serve other people using what you're good at. So
yes.
If you show up and you let all of that shine, there are people that are going to appreciate your authenticity, your vulnerability, and they're going to love you for it.
I love it. I think that's absolutely amazing. So before we close out, I want to give you a moment to shamelessly plug and tell us where we can find you everywhere. So if we're looking for you, we want to listen to your podcast, we want to follow you, where do we do that?
Well, you can find me on Facebook or obviously Instagram.
Yes.
You can go to my website, which is mindsetbeforeskillset.com.
Ooh, okay.
Have your mind right before you can use any skills. And my podcast is The Mindset King.
Yes.
So go to themindsetking.com and you can find all those episodes.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It was amazing to meet you. And I hope we can do it again sometime because I had a blast.
Oh, count on it. Next time I'll dance.
Oh, yes! Yes! I love it. Thank you so much for your time and have an amazing day.
Thank you, Dory.
Bye, hon. Okay, guys, let's get our singing out, dancing out music. Get my YouTube back on. I don't know. My old phone is really hating me these days. It doesn't want to give me any music. Every time I turn it on, it freezes and dies. So, I don't know. We might just have to fake the music today. But I'm going to come back a little bit this afternoon. If you guys have been following me, you know today is the last day that Diana is going to be here. So I'm going to say in probably about 15-20 minutes, we're going to do a little fun dancing video. We're going to dance to Diana's favorite songs so that she's got an awesome video to watch when she's home and when she's missing all the dancing fun. So have a great afternoon, guys, and we'll see you shortly for dancing. Bye, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.